It's now 6:30. I'd like to call to order the Regional Planning Commission business meeting for Thursday, December the 9th. And as in our first order, we always do, is the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll ask Denise Karcher to lead us in the pledge, please. Thank you, Commissioner Karcher. Sarah, now turn it over to you for a roll call and determination of quorum.
Mr. Peterman?
Here.
Mr. Servan?
Here.
Mrs. Karcher?
Here.
Mr. Mills?
Here.
Mr. Spanarelli?
Here.
Mr. Davis?
Here.
Mr. Jester?
Here.
So you have 7 present. You do have a quorum.
Thank you very much. As you have in front of you, you have the agenda. Are there any additions, deletions? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
Make a motion to approve.
I have a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Call the commission.
Mr. Peterman?
Yes.
Mr. Servan?
Yes to approve.
Mrs. Karcher?
Yes.
Mr. Mills?
Yes.
Mr. Spanarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
So you have 7 yeas in favor of approving tonight's agenda.
Thank you again. Also in front of you tonight, you have the minutes for the November 10th, 2021 meeting. If there's no corrections, additions, or anything else, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Once again, Sarah, call the commission.
Mr. Peterman?
Yes.
Mr. Servan?
Yes.
Mrs. Karcher?
Yes.
Mr. Mills?
Yes.
Mr. Spanarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
So you have 7 yeas in favor of approving the minutes of November 10th.
Once again, I thank you. Also in front of you tonight, you have the levy court action on the commission recommendations. You can see how they acted and what they did. If you have any questions, please contact staff. First under old business tonight is application CZ-21-04/LC21-15 Snake Creek. I guess that's 1200. I don't know what that is. I forget my Roman numerals. I'm sorry. LLC. It's been tabled, so we'll have to have a vote to bring it off the table.
So moved.
I have a vote to bring it off the table. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a vote to bring it off the table and a second, or a motion, excuse me. Please call the commission.
Mr. Peterman?
Yes.
Mr. Servan?
Yes.
Mrs. Karcher?
Yes.
Mr. Mills?
No.
Mr. Davis?
No.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
So you have 5 yeas, 2 nays in favor of lifting application CZ-2104 from the table.
So now we'll get into that particular application under old business. Once again, I'll repeat, it's CZ-21-04, LC21-15 for Snake Creek. There was quite a discussion and all, and this application is entirely about the zoning. I think we have been down there, or a lot of us been down there, and see how great they perform their actions and everything like that. So I'll open it up to the commission for comments or discussion.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I voted no because I was prepared to make a statement and actually make a motion, but we extended this for a period of 60 days for the purpose of giving the applicant the opportunity to gather and collect information about basically the noise. There's 2 issues here. One issue, obviously, I had a lot of people have problems with, including myself, is that under the current ordinance, there's only one place that you can put it, and that's light industrial. And that opens the door to setting a precedent for other areas, which I think the county doesn't want to see happen, and rightfully so. However, I know that these people are currently working on trying to get this noise issue resolved. And I think that due to the nature of doing things for young people, I think we all must certainly support that, that I would like to see this thing, I'm going to make a motion, that this application be tabled for a period of 6 months. Prior to the period of 6 months, when they get the information, they're then entitled to come back and we'll have a vote with a presentation and confirmation that the noise issue has been studied, analyzed. I know they're talking about getting decimal readings, and that has not been done to date. I do know that they have talked to a company, a professional company. I just want to see this be a fair play for them, for our young people. So I think at the end of the 6 months, if they don't have it, then it is what it is. But because it's involving a lot of our young people and families, to me, it's important that we give them every opportunity to prove their case, and I'm hopeful that can be done. If they come in prior to the 6 months, then I think they ought to be put on the agenda, make the presentation, voted up, voted down, send it to the courts. My motion is to table it for a period of 6 months, and we do not have the information by then we either vote it up or vote it down. Thank you. That's my motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Sarah, please call the commission.
Mr. Peterman?
Yes.
Mr. Servon?
Yes.
Mrs. Karcher?
No.
Mr. Mills?
Yes on the motion.
Mr. Spanarelli?
No.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
No.
So you have 4 yeas, 3 nays in favor of tabling application CZ 2104 for a period of 6 months.
So that would put it on what month then, Sarah? 6 months from now?
June.
June? Is that correct? Okay.
That passed.
Okay, thank you. So as of tonight, the Snake Creek, and I will apologize, the MXS is for Motocross LLC.
Did that pass or not?
Yes, the motion passed 4-3. Am I correct, sir?
Thank you.
So that will be put off until June of 2022. Thank you all for voting. Now we're going to go to new business. The first thing on new business tonight is the CS-21-09 FPS Cedar Creek Solar LLC. It's a request for a conditional use with site plan approval of a solar field facility, public utility located outside the growth zone overlay district. We had great commentary on both sides last week. The presentation, I think a lot of questions were asked and answered and asked in front of the microphone. So I will now open it up to the commission for either comment or a motion. Anybody have any comments? If not, I'll be looking for a motion. Mrs. Karcher, make a motion, please.
I move that the Regional Planning Commission recommend conditional approval of application CS-21-09, a conditional use site plan for a solar facility public utility located outside the growth zone overlay district. And this is based on Exhibit A, staff recommendation report dated December 2, 2021, Exhibit B, public hearing testimony dated December 2, 2021, and findings of fact that A, the subject site is zoned AC agricultural conservation, and I think it's subchapter 205-48 and 205-329 permit public utilities as a conditional use. B, the location is appropriate and not in conflict with the comprehensive plan. C, the public health, safety, and general welfare will not be adversely affected. D, the application is compliant with the adequate public facilities ordinance and pursuant to chapters 187 and 205 of the King County Code and pursuant to 9 Delaware chapter 4802 and 4811. The Commission has reviewed the application and the December 2, 2021 staff recommendation report. And furthermore, as part of this approval, the applicant shall comply with all staff and agency requirements, as described in the December 2, 2021 staff recommendation report, including A, the waiver from 187-78B3 to allow panels installed within the required ditch buffer is granted, given that the disturbance required for installation is limited. All additional waiver requests are denied. B, the applicant shall submit a reclamation plan and a decommissioning surety prior to final site plan approval to guarantee the availability of funds for system removal. The surety amount shall be equivalent to the decommissioning and reclamation costs for the entire project at present day decommissioning cost estimate. The financial assurance shall be reviewed and renewed every 5 years to ensure the amount reflects the current market. The site reclamation plan shall define the reclamation, revegetation, restoration, and soil stabilization plans for the project area. The decommissioning and reclamation activities shall ensure expeditious reclamation of construction areas and the revegetation of disturbed areas to reestablish the inherent agricultural value of the land. Reclamation shall occur within 12 months of the closing of the facility. Decommissioning must consist of, number one, physical removal of all solar photovoltaic installations, structures, equipment, security barriers, and transmission lines from the site. 2, recycling or disposal of all solid and hazardous waste in accordance with local, state, and federal regulations. And 3, stabilization or revegetation of the site as necessary to minimize erosion. The planning director is authorized to allow the owner or operator to leave landscaping or designated below-grade foundations in place in order to minimize erosion and disruption to vegetation. D, if topsoil is removed for improvements, it shall remain on the site. E, perennial vegetative ground cover shall be maintained or established in all areas containing solar arrays and in required setbacks to prevent erosion and manage runoff. F, signage not to exceed 6 square feet, identifying the operator, its contact numbers, and emergency contact information may be posted at each entrance or exit of the property. G, solar farms that do not produce energy for a continuous period of 1 year or more are presumed to have been abandoned. Any solar farm that has been abandoned must be decommissioned and removed within 180 days. H, the proposed landscape buffer shall be a minimum of 100 feet wide as presented at the December 2nd, 2021 public hearing. I, that the final plan must be approved within 24 months of preliminary plan approval, and construction shall commence within 18 months of that final plan approval. J, failure to comply with the conditions of approval or applicable regulations can result in a revocation of any permits issued for this conditional use and a revocation of the conditional use itself.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Sarah, call the commission.
Mr. Peterman.
This is difficult, but I gotta vote yes because I think it will save the price of electric from escalating at a fast rate.
Mr. Servan.
Yes for approval.
Mrs. Karcher.
Yes, for approval.
Mr. Mills.
No.
Mr. Spanarelli.
Yes, for approval.
Mr. Davis.
It's a very hard decision.
Mr. Davis.
I'm going to vote no. I'm going to state my reason why. I tried to First of all, for the record, I'm not against solar energy. But solar energy has to be utilized in an area that doesn't cause a lot of issues. We value our property, particularly farmland in our state. The poultry industry is a large part of our economy in Delaware. And the farmers are struggling now to basically survive. And as I look at this thing, I feel that by approving this, we currently don't have what I consider a consistent policy on what really applies, what you can do, what you cannot do. It's kind of, from my opinion, it's an open door. It was stated at the public meeting that there's other approvals. That is absolutely true. However, one of them was a 25-acre farm that had none of the issues with that farm that we currently are exposed to with this application. So when you take a 500 and some acre farm and you convert that into solar panels, I haven't been convinced in the last 15 minutes getting his first letter from the engineer about the people they've talked to. I would have felt a lot better if we had got a legal document from whoever they spoke to, people that had the knowledge and the background, the authority to speak on this subject. I only know what's in this letter. What I do know when it comes to wildlife, from personal experience, that these geese will flare off. This is a very prestigious area in our state. As Mr. Moore stated in his letter, it goes all the way to Newcastle County. I don't want to see us take the risk of taking the possibility of destroying the Atlantic Flyway in the Kent County. It generates a lot of money for our state economy. By license, hunting gear, ammunition, and it's a family issue. So on that side, I'm not going to support this. This number one issue is I totally disagree with the applicant's position about the hunting. This was never brought up to us until we raised the issue on the commission. I don't know whether they thought we wouldn't think about it or they just overlooked it. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they overlooked it. But some of this letter that we received today, 15 minutes before the meeting, I personally have a difference of opinion. Secondly, we have an excellent program in this state for the preservation program to preserve farmland. It's a great program. When we approve this, and it looks like that's what's going to happen, I will guarantee you that we're going to see an influx of people coming into our state and buying or renting, particularly leasing, parcels of land to put up solar panels. And I don't think that's right. Our state thrives on the agricultural community, and I don't want to risk losing that. As I testified in the last meeting, these farmers spend a lot of money. And I don't know why. I happen to agree with Mr. Wilkins from the Farm Bureau. Why are we using land? It's farmland, prime farmland, particularly east of Route 9. When the state of Delaware has land, Department of Natural Resources has land, and the Nature Conservancy has land. So I'm not supporting this, because why do we have to go down and broker a deal with somebody and take that money or take that farmland out to put up solar panels when there's other options available? There's a lot of money being made in this solar business. And if you don't think so, look it up and see what the federal funding is. There's a lot of money made in this. There's a lot of money being taken out of us, our preservation of farmland. And I don't support it. I know it's going to pass. And so I'm voting against it. I feel very strongly about it. My job is to protect everybody and to include the applicant. But sometimes I think we have to look ahead. You let all this land disappear, as one of the people testified, we're going to have an economic problem in this state. So my vote on this is no, nothing against the applicant, nothing against the people who testified, but I totally disagree with their statements about the waterfowl hunting, and it's not going to have any effect. They have indicated that they have discussions about keeping some of the land for the waterfowl, but I can tell you, once you put these panels up, those geese will not come in there. I don't care what they say. So my answer is no. I hate to vote that because I really support solar. It's the way that the energy crisis is being addressed, but my viewpoint, I don't think this is the right location. If it had been someplace else, I would have probably, after hearing the facts, I would probably voted for it. But where this is located, I am not voting for that, and so be it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Jester?
I vote yes. I think the engineer this time really did look at the plan and increase the buffers. I think he's making it more appeased to the people in the area. I think with the expanded buffers and all, it's a much better plan than before. I vote yes. And I also have Mrs. Karcher would like to say something.
Did I do? Sure. I should have said this when I voted, and I didn't, and I apologize. You know, I've been thinking today that there's that old saying that the only two things that are guaranteed are death and taxes in our life. But there's one more thing that isn't ever talked about, and that's that there's one thing that's guaranteed is change. And we are destroying our planet right now, we being human beings. And solar panel has been shown to be part of the fix. And it's a change that we just have to, that's one of many, many changes that we're going to have to accept. The fact that there's no permanent damage to the land is an extra. It's an extra, it's a benefit of this, because maybe 25 years from now, they'll have something that they can do, rather than 200 acres, they can do in 10 acres. But for right now, this is part of the fix. And that's one of the reasons I voted as I did.
So you've got 5 yeas, 2 nays in favor of recommending conditional approval of application CS 2109.
Thank you, commissioners, and good luck with your project. Next under new business tonight is CZ-21-08/LC21-22 Chicks. It's a request to amend the zoning map from BG, General Business, Highway Commercial, and AR, Agricultural Residential, Low Density Residential to BG, General Business, Highway Commercial, located inside the Growth Zone Overlay District. He gave a great presentation last week. I don't believe there was any opposition. So I'll now open it up to the commissioners. Or somebody would like to make a motion? Any commissioner like to make a motion?
I'll make it.
Mr. Peterman?
I make a motion. I move that the Regional Planning Commission recommend approval of ordinance LC 21-22 to amend the zoning map from BG, General Business, Highway Commercial, and AR, Agriculture Residential, Low Density Residential to BG, General Business, Highway Commercial, located inside the Growth Zone Overlay District. This is based on a staff recommendation reported dated, December 2nd, 2021, the public hearing testimony dated December 2nd, 2021, and the findings of the fact that A, the character of the neighborhood is predominantly a mixed and low-density residential and industrial zoning adjacent to the town of Harrington. B, the proposed zoning district is compatible with the surrounding area. C, the land use strategy map 7-C of the 2018 Comprehensive Plan does not recommend commercial zoning for the site, but the comprehensive plan also provides that while map 7-C be used as a guide to evaluate application for rezoning, the standard includes in the zoning ordinance regarding compatibility with surrounding land use and availability of infrastructure remains in effect and should have equal weight in rezoning property. D, transportation facilities, water and sewage systems, storm drains systems, and fire suppression facilities are available or planned.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Sarah, call the commission.
Mr. Peterman?
Yes, to approve.
Mr. Servon?
Yes to approve.
Mrs. Karcher?
Yes.
Mr. Mills?
Yes, to approve.
Mr. Spanarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, to approve.
Mr. Jester?
Yes to approve.
So you have 7 ayes in favor of recommending approval of ordinance LC 2122.
Thank you very much, and good luck with your project. We're now down to public comment. Does anybody in the room like to, under public comment, say anything? Seeing no one, is there anybody on the phone, Mark?
If there's anyone that's joining us online or via telephone, you can raise your hand by pressing *3 and *6 to unmute if you'd like to make comments at this time. I see no hands raised on WebEx.
Thank you, Mark. Down to commissioner comments or commission comments. Anybody on the commission would like to say anything? Mr. Davis.
I'd just like to say that this one application is a very complex and difficult thing to vote on. I personally have no hard feelings with anyone who voted yes and I voted no. That's just the way it works. That's how our democracy works. So I just want you to know, it's nothing personal who voted for it and I voted against it. I walk out of this room, I walk away from it, and I forget it. That's just our way we think in the Planning Commission. There's no hard feelings about it. We all express our viewpoints. I express mine, and now we take it up to the levy court with a recommendation, and they will discuss it at great length. They make the final decision. So no hard feelings of anybody here, staff, anyone else. I just speak my piece, and that's it. Thank you.
Any other commissioner comments? Mr. Peterman.
Yeah, I want to just thank Paul Davis for his comment.
Thank you, Mr. Peterman. Any other commissioner comments?
And I'll repeat what he said almost, but I voted against it because I am for agriculture. I hate to see this agriculture being swallowed up with everything because they are losing ground. They are losing out. The dairy industry is gone. The chicken industry is thriving. Potatoes are losing out. So, we can't keep losing agriculture land, and that's the reason I voted against it.
Is there somebody on the phone, Mark, that wanted to say something?
Yeah, Bill Spanarelli.
Go ahead, Mr. Spanarelli.
I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year and a good 2022.
And the same at you too, sir, and I hope you get better and that we can once again see you back here in the room with us.
That would be wonderful. Thank you very much.
You're certainly welcome. Seeing no more comments, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn.
Second.
Have a motion. Sarah, call the commission.
Mr. Peterman?
Yes, to adjourn.
Mr. Servon?
Yes to adjourn.
Mrs. Karcher?
Yes.
Mr. Mills?
Yes.
Mr. Spanarelli?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes, and we'll see you all next year. This is adjourned.